Confession. Roja Parfums is the brand in my collection from which I have the absolute most fragrances, and every single one of them was gifted to me by the brand over the past 7 years or so. Now, perhaps about 16 of you guys just heard me say that and are now saying to yourself,
see, I told you he was a shill. He got them all for free, so of course he's gonna make a video about the ones he likes. Unsubscribe!
if that is as deep as your decision-making process goes when deciding who you're going to listen to, then I can't save you. But if you're still listening to me talk right now, you're probably more intelligent than the average Joe. In fact, average Joe has already left this video and is probably now in some other reviewer's comments, sharing his misery once again in the form of criticism. Quote of the day: "Those with nothing to offer nothing but criticism." The question you should be asking is, Justin, do you love every fragrance you've received from Roja Parfums? The easy answer to that is absolutely not. I'm human. How could I like everything? Now, I could sit here and spend several minutes bashing the fragrances that I don't love from Roja Parfums, which is for some reason what some people truly want, but that's not what this video is about. Bottom line, whether or not a reviewer like myself received a bottle of fragrance for free, I would encourage you to avoid basing your decision to buy that fragrance off of just one person's opinion, not even mine. Do your research. With all that out the way, we're going to talk about 10 fragrances from my Roja Parfum collection that I would recommend for the fall time / winter time. A lot of the time we like to separate them just for the sake of more content, but we can just call it for the colder season. They're going to be ordered from my least favorite to my most favorite, although I like them all. And there's going to be links to everything down below in terms of samples. These are very expensive fragrances. I recommend sampling them first. There's going to be links down below with a discount code, if I can find one, where you can try these fragrances and not have to give Klarna a dime. P.S. If you have to make payments on a fragrance, that means you can't afford it. And that's okay, but stop doing that. Let's dive right into it. Here at the 10th spot, this is number 10 because I frankly don't wear it very much. I've worn it once, twice, maybe 3 times over the past few years. It is a challenging one. It's one I have to be in the mood for, but it's one I truly appreciate. And thankfully, it's one my wife appreciates, which is really the reason I might reach for this on a chilly night out if we're gonna go out a little bit more formally or more dressed up. This is Fetish Pome, and this is an animalic sheep. It's leathery, it's sharp, some might call it funky, it's mossy, it's dry, but there's something so sophisticated about it. It's spicy. I really enjoy it, man. Even up close, I really like this stuff. Maybe a little bit lemony. There's some kind of mouth-watering citrus right off the top. I think it's lovely stuff. I think it's so well made, but you have to like an animalic, leathery, slightly funky sheep that has some real elegant touches. Very dry, very authoritative. If you're gonna sample anything first, sample number 10 first. Let me know if you dig this one. That is Fetish Pome. This is a real special one. A fragrance that is along the same lines, but maybe not quite as edgy, at least to me, is Diaghilev. Beautiful sheep, once again, based on florals and some fruits. It's a fruity floral animalic sheep fragrance. I know I'm saying that word terribly. I don't think I'll be saying it much more after this, so please forgive me. It's a stunning scent profile. It smells so rich, so opulent, dry, a little bit edgy, but just the right amount of approachability with this fruitiness, maybe some peach, some yellow florals, perhaps something that makes it kind of sweet and almost delicious smelling, but it is wrapped up in this very intense, dry, mossy quality. Very complex, as with a lot of Roja's earlier fragrances. Another one that's worth a sample before you even think about blind buying it. This is night out stuff. This is when you want to dress to impress, you want to make an impression. You can check out Diaghilev. Let me know if you enjoy it already. This next fragrance may surprise some of you. I know this is a massive love from the house, at least the Parfum version of it. I have the Parfum Cologne version of it. I have very little experience with the Parfum, believe it or not. So based on what I remember about it and what I've heard other people say about it, I think I might like the Parfum more than this one, but this is still good. This is Creation E. This is once again the Parfum Cologne version. The famed Parfum version is again a beloved fragrance from this house. A lot of people love love it. A lot of people dub it as this beautiful, iconic, resinous, boozy fragrance. And this takes that feeling and it kind of makes it more sparkling, a little bit more alive, a little bit more transparent, and even fresh. I could try to break it down for you, but it really does kind of smell like a whiskey and Coke in a really, really great way. I love the sparkling benzoin that brings this, again, kind of brighter resinous feel. It is definitely boozy, and there's something, again, kind of carbonated about it. It's really, really uplifting. It's also pretty particular. It really does kind of smell like a cocktail, so you have to be into that or be going for that. But there is something about it. It is full bodied where it does smell like an elegant fragrance, an elegant scent that you would smell on your body and that people would expect to smell off of you. I like it. I don't love it. It's not my absolute favorite one, but I like it a lot. It is a great DNA. It's very enjoyable to wear. Unfortunately, my wife is not crazy about this one for whatever reason, but it's been a few years. I'll have to wear it around her one more time this fall. That is Creation E. Let me know if you enjoy it. Now, this next fragrance is very unisex, maybe the most unisex on this list. Some might even say it leans a touch feminine. I think it's perfectly right down the middle. And of the fragrances I've chosen here, this is the one my wife likes to wear the most. And I think she wears this more than I do, but I do still really like this one. It has grown on me. I didn't love it at first, but it's grown on me. This is Manhattan Eau de Parfum. And this is this light, airy, sweet, dusty, vanilla, boozy fragrance. Very, very airy, very arid in its texture. Again, there's a lot of space in between all these elements working together. It just comes off as something that doesn't overwhelm. And when you spray it, you might think it's not going to last very long or have a whole lot of presence because it doesn't come off too strongly, but I find that it actually lasts on the skin quite a long time. You'd be surprised. This is kind of an all-day scent, but it doesn't scream like one. Very elegant stuff. This could be day or night wear. I could see this as a very handsome work scent if you want to have more of a sweeter vibe, but one that is not overwhelming and not overtly sweet. It can also be a really nice date night or going out, kind of seductive leaning scent, again, for men or for women. I think my least favorite element of this fragrance is the coconut. I'm not a huge coconut fan, so it does have this creamy feel from that coconut, but again, I've grown to like it a little bit more as time has gone on. Let me know if you've tried Manhattan Eau de Parfum. Once again, I will link to a sample down in the description. We have one of the most handsome fragrances from the house. Oh man, there are two versions of this one. I have both of them, and I like them both about the same. I really couldn't pick one over the other, but I just chose this one because I tend to talk about it a little less. This is Danger Parfum. I love the Parfum Cologne version. I would say it's perhaps a little bit more appropriate for those warmer fall days because it has a brighter, more transparent top and freshness to it from some citruses that are accentuated. This is definitely more heart and bottom heavy. This is what I would call an ambery fougere. It does have this clean barbershop-like vibe to it. Lavender, kind of soapy in a way. It's creamy, it's round, a little sweet, but there is this warmer, again, ambery vanilla type of sweetness that grounds it. I think there might even be some cumin in here or something kind of funky about it that might rub some of you guys the wrong way. I think it's a little bit more accentuated here in the Parfum version than the Parfum Cologne version. So if that sounds like a turnoff to you, I would maybe avoid the Parfum, go for the PC, aka Parfum Cologne. You get it. But if you're not afraid of that type of elegant nuance to a fragrance and you want something that's richer, denser, more round, a little bit more present, not necessarily stronger, but lasts just fine on my skin, then maybe check out the Parfum. I'm going to link to it down below. I might even link to the Parfum Cologne down below. Again, I like them both about the same, so I could recommend both of them, but that is Danger Pour Homme. In the fall time is when I start to reach for my rose oud fragrances all the way through the winter. This is probably my favorite rose oud from the house. And this is UAE, also known as United Arab Emirates, from the Gulf collection. And this is a rose oud based around some herbs, some spices, warm spices, a little bit of sweetness in there. Quite a bit of an aromatic quality here, but it's a little bit more dense, a little bit darker than a fragrance that smells quite like it that came out just a handful of years ago called Taif Oud. And that fragrance basically smells like this. It's really kind of strange. There's quite a bit of redundancy between the two. That one is just a little bit more heavy on the aldehydes. There's this aldehydic freshness to it that maybe does set it apart a bit, at least for the first like hour or two, but once they dry down, they settle, they kind of smell pretty much the same. I like them both, but I think I like this one a little bit more. This is a very elegant, I think easy to wear rose oud fragrance that smells complex. It smells luxurious. It smells expensive. I'm just gonna be real. It smells expensive in the air. And this is one my wife absolutely loves on me when I wear. I wanna know what you think of this one. This collection is pretty expensive, maybe more expensive than the average Roja Parfum. So definitely sample first, and even then the sample may not be cheap. You have been warned. This fragrance grew on me rather quickly when it came out a couple of years ago, and I like it a whole lot these days. I think it's a pretty special scent. I love what it does. It has a definitive nature to it, and it was, I guess, so popular that they came out with the Parfum version just 6 months later, which is really odd to me. So if I had to recommend one over the other, I recommend the Eau de Parfum version of Apex. It is a little bit cheaper, at least a little bit, and it behaves beautifully. It performs just fine. So the Parfum is just a slightly more refined version of this, maybe a tiny bit more long lasting for me, but I wouldn't buy it for that reason. It's also a smaller size if that matters to you. Nonetheless, the original DNA of Apex is wonderful. This is, as it kind of appears to be, a green, leathery, boozy, mossy fragrance. There is something very authoritative and masculine, almost old school about it, but I love the resins. I love the booziness. I love the fruitiness. I think there's some pineapple in here that brings this sweetness that is pretty much underlying throughout the entire scent, but it is a green sweetness, and the greenness here is more of a dark, shady green. The way that it is portrayed here, a dark, more forest or hunter green in terms of the color that is conveyed when I smell this stuff. It just smells very confident. It smells like someone who gets business done. It smells like someone who knows how to make great relationships, firm handshakes, making eye contact. This is you in a bottle. Are you the apex predator? Well, I hope you're not a predator.
Don't do that.
But it's okay to be confident. This is a great fragrance to do it with. That is Apex Eau de Parfum. Great for the fall. I do have to say here at number 3, this is easily, I believe, maybe one of the 3 most unique fragrances that Roja Parfum makes. There's nothing else from any other house that I've ever tried that smells quite like a Midsummer Dream. Could we take it literally and say, well, is this a fragrance to wear during the summer? Maybe it's not my go-to. It doesn't really have a liveliness, a freshness. It doesn't have the vibe I'm looking for in the heat, but you could probably pull it off on a summer night if you want to be elegant. But I would save this for the more moderate seasons, the more transitional seasons like the fall. A Midsummer Dream is one of the most unique chic fragrances. I thought we were done with it. I guess we weren't. That I've come across. This is based on a lot of elemi resin. Elemi resin is a fresh, piney, kind of lemony, slightly sweet balsamic note. Very elemi forward. If you've smelled something like Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum 2017, then you've gotten yourself a good bit of elemi resin from that one. And if you like that, you might like it in here too. There is some moss, there's some florals in here like rose, some citruses that are a little bit bright, but I get this cottony, dry, woody feel. It's like cottonwood, if you can imagine. That's the texture I get out of this scent. It's pretty dense. I can see it getting a little bit stuffy in the heat, and that's why this is not my favorite warm weather fragrance. I think it smells utterly sophisticated, so beautifully masculine without being super manly. I think it could be fairly unisex, but I think it might lean a little masculine. But it's the kind of guy who dresses well, that likes to make a good impression, but there's a sensitivity here. You don't need to be the most dominant, assertive presence in the room. That's for Apex EDP. This one, not so much. Love it though. Don't sleep on this one. A Midsummer Dream. Here at number 2, this fragrance was love at first sniff. I absolutely love it to this day. It just does something to me. Once again, one of 2 different versions. I have the Parfum version. I love that one too, but I loved this one first, so that's why it's here. Scandal Parfum Cologne. This is a fougere, and this is one of those perfect, more warm weather type fall fragrances. I would save it for the earlier part of the fall when it's not super cold yet or getting cold. It's a beautiful daytime fragrance. It smells very professional. It smells very sophisticated. It also smells a little bit sexy. I think the name does suit it well. There is an edge here, and I know I spoke about Dior Eau Sauvage. This kind of smells a little bit similar-ish to the Eau de Toilette version of Dior Eau Sauvage, but if you can imagine it, expanded in every direction, more deep, more rich, more present, more complex. And for that reason, I actually prefer this a little bit to Eau Sauvage, whether or not it was an inspiration for this fragrance. It is very lemony in its opening. It is sharp, it is bright, it is mouthwatering. There is this immediate freshness and green herbal quality. There's some sweet kind of coumarin or tonka bean feel. There's a mossiness here, and I can't place it, but there's something slightly edgy about the fragrance. A little bit of a funk that gives it its appeal. It's just the right amount, so don't be put off by what I'm saying. It gives it its special character. Without it, I think it would be kind of blah. When used well, these funky or maybe unfavorable notes can be a really special element to a scent. So sample first, see for yourself. Don't just take my word for it and say, okay, I'm gonna get the bottle because Justin loves it so much. Get a sample if anything I said interested you. And if you've already tried it, let me and everyone else know what you think of Scandal Pour Homme. And what could my number one be? This fragrance captures me for whatever reason. My wife loves it when I wear it, so that's a big plus. It is warm and spicy. It's a little bit sweet and resinous and woody. I think it is also technically a chypre, so sorry, that's the last time. I'm not doing it again, I promise. This fragrance makes me feel like myself. This fragrance makes me feel so well put together when I wear it in the evening, going out, usually wearing darker colors. It is not a fragrance I wear based on the name. The name is Reckless, and I'm not reckless when I wear this. I don't feel reckless when I wear Reckless. It feels very refined to me, but I think Reckless is a better name than refined Pour Homme. These warm spices, man. And it's sweet without smelling edible. Again, it might be a resin like labdanum or something like that that gives it this kind of sticky sweetness that is made dry, warm, and spicy. There might be cloves in here. I can't remember. There is a stuffiness to the spicy quality. That may not be your absolute favorite. If you spray it and smell it up close, you have been warned. I don't know what it is. This stuff just gets me. I love the way I feel when I wear Reckless Pour Homme in the evening time during the fall when it's a little bit chilly. I love the vibe I have around me in the air. I love the way it kind of lingers behind me and around me, and I just feel like $1,000,000 when I wear it. Now, it's not going to cost you $1,000,000 to check it out, but it's not cheap. So once again, sample first. That's Reckless Pour Homme. All right, those are my 10 fall Roja recommendations. I want to know what you think of them. If you've tried them, once again, everything will be linked in the description. If you have yet to try them, for samples, not bottles, and I want to know what you think down in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.